Shamrock Products LLC addresses concerns after the chemical spill at the Port of Victoria. The DOJ calls the police response to the mass shooting in Uvalde a complete failure. And the stakes continue to rise for GOP candidates in the presidential race, this as the New Hampshire primary nears.
We're going to be looking at quite a bit of cloud cover coming up from the south, and that's going to give us a big rain next week. We'll be talking all about it.
And one area team having a big year and are getting ready for their biggest test of their season. Hear from them in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia is on assignment. A suspect in the Wells Fargo Bank robbery in Port Lavaca has pleaded guilty to the charge. Mark Trevino pleaded guilty to robbing the bank in September 2022, and he also pleaded guilty to robbing 4 other banks in Texas and Louisiana. Trevino was arrested in October 2022 after robbing the Chase Bank in Alexandria, Louisiana. Trevino was sentenced to 7 years in federal prison, and he has to pay restitution of $4,400. That's the amount he stole from the Wells Fargo Bank in Port Lavaca. A Victoria attorney is representing several clients as part of a lawsuit against Shamrock Products LLC following an oil spill at the Port of Victoria on January 3rd. The lawsuit claims the company's negligence led to the oil spill and failed to contain and prevent the toxic odorous chemicals from entering the atmosphere. It also claims the company failed to comply with emission standards set by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. Jim Cole of Cole, Easley, and Skiba tells us his clients say the situation is getting worse, that there still is a very strong smell.
We have clients that have had to move out of their houses because the smell is so bad, probably going to end up having to have their homes treated by a professional, cleaning the carpets and draperies and things to get the odors out of their houses.
Cole added that it's up to the company, Shamrock Products LLC, to clean up the spill with oversight from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. To hear the full interview, visit our YouTube channel at Crossroads Today. The boil water notice in Port Lavaca ended Thursday afternoon. The city of Port Lavaca's public water system has taken the necessary corrective actions to restore the quality of the water used for drinking or human consumption purposes. Port Lavaca has provided to TCEQ laboratory test results that indicate that the water no longer requires boiling. 25-year-old Christopher Chandler was taken into custody by Lavaca County Sheriff's deputies Wednesday. Chandler is charged with assault of a public servant. He is in the Lavaca County Jail in lieu of $75,000 bond. The police response to the 2022 mass shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde was a failure. That is the blunt conclusion from the DOJ in a new 575-page report. The report cited critical failures in leadership by law enforcement officers who rushed to the scene. The report also mentioned that officers arrived at the scene quickly and ran toward the sound of gunfire. But then they stopped when they neared the classrooms where the gunman was killing fourth graders and teachers.
These failures may also have been influenced by policy and training deficiencies at responding law enforcement agencies. Some lacked any active shooter training at all. Some had inappropriate training. Some lacked critical incident response training. And the vast majority had never trained together with different agencies.
The state senator who represents Uvalde responded to the new report into the Robb Elementary shooting before the report's release. Senator Roland Gutierrez said that while there is not much new in the report, it's important that the DOJ filed the report on the failed response to the shooting, so there is a record of what happened. He says the record is a step toward justice for the families impacted by the shooting.
The biggest conclusion that we can all take is something we've already known for the last year and a half or more. And that's the Department of Public Safety should have known better. Its failed leadership and its infrastructure failed this community and failed rural Texas. The local police failed this community. And more importantly, as the Justice Department tells us, in that document that is sealed by them, it tells us that there was a complete and utter lack of urgency when it came to taking care of these children.
The report said the officers should have immediately confronted the gunman. Instead, it took 77 minutes for them to stop him. 19 students and 2 teachers were killed in the massacre. And here's your viewer poll tonight. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's the question. What do you think is the most important area for improvement to prevent similar tragedies in the future? Law enforcement training, or school safety and security, or mental health support, or gun control and legislation? Getting the most votes tonight at 53% is gun control and legislation. We thank you for voting and come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis. Now, Mac, lovely weather today. How long do we have that?
Well, it was one day of our kind of springtime weather there. Then we're going to go into a little bit of a seesaw because we're going from the deep freeze into a lot of rain. But in the short term, just know that tonight, by tomorrow morning, we'll be only at 42. Not that cold. Because of the cold front tomorrow, we'll get to 28 on Saturday morning, but then 38 on Sunday, and then we start warming up. We start warming up because we're getting a tap of tropical moisture rolling up that's going to give us quite a bit of rain next week. We'll be talking more about that coming up in a moment.
Mac, thank you. The House Homeland Security Committee plans to vote on an impeachment resolution for Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas on January 31st. Last week, Republicans criticized him for neglecting his duties as border crossings have reached record highs. They said he refused to enforce the country's immigration laws and passed in policies that made Americans less safe. If successful, Mayorkas would be only the second cabinet official impeached in American history. The panel will hold its second and final impeachment hearing later this week. We are 5 days away from what could be a decisive moment in the GOP presidential race. Donald Trump is focusing his attacks on Nikki Haley as he seeks to deliver a knockout blow in the New Hampshire primary.
Donald Trump juggling the courtroom and the campaign.
But I'm thrilled to be back in the great state of New Hampshire.
The former president rallied voters in New Hampshire last night after he willingly spent most of the day in a New York courtroom, hearing E. Jean Carroll testify against him in her civil defamation trial.
And that's a nasty man. He's a nasty judge. He's a Trump-hating guy.
Trump clashed with Judge Lewis Kaplan, who threatened to throw him out of the trial for speaking within earshot of the jury. I understand you are probably very eager for me to do that, the judge told Trump. Trump responding, I would love it.
This is a person I have no idea, until this happened, obviously, I have no idea who she was, and nor could I care less. It's a rigged deal. It's a made-up, fabricated story.
Carroll is seeking more than $10 million in damages after a judge found Trump liable for his 2019 defamatory statements about Carroll's sexual assault allegations.
Chaos follows him. And we can't have a country in disarray and a world on fire and go through 4 more years of chaos. We won't survive it.
Back in New Hampshire, Nikki Haley is focusing her campaign squarely on Donald Trump, hitting back after a number of policy and personal attacks by Trump, including using her birth name, Nimrata, in a post widely seen as a racist dog whistle.
Now, I know Trump threw a temper tantrum about me last night.
Trump hit Haley for the support she's drawn from outside the Republican Party in the state.
Nikki Haley is counting on Democrats. The radical left Democrats are supporting Nikki Haley because they know she's much easier to beat than Trump.
Meanwhile, with no clear path in New Hampshire and 2 debates now canceled, Governor Ron DeSantis appears to be shifting his focus to South Carolina, his super PAC beginning layoffs and setting the stage for a likely final stand in Haley's home state.
I want to pick up delegates. Everyone that goes out and votes for me is going to help me get delegates, and that's what we want to do.
Early voting in Victoria for the February 3rd mayoral election continued Thursday. The numbers from the Victoria County Election Administrator look like this. 144 people voted in person early Thursday, 232 total votes so far. 11 mail-in votes were received Thursday, a total of 91 mail-in votes so far. Early voting for City of Victoria Mayor runs through January 30th. Early voting is at the Dr. Patty Dodson Public Health Center, 2805 North Navarro, Classroom A, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. On the ballot, Josephine Solis, Peter Brown, Robert Bob Constantine, Jacob Sauceda, Carissa Winters, and Dwayne Crocker. Join us Saturday, February 3rd for complete coverage of the special mayoral election. For any residents who have an interest in getting involved with Victoria's government, you can apply to run for City Council. Residents can run for any of the 4 regular City Council District 1, 2, 3, and 4 seats. An informational session about the roles of City Council members will be held on February 6th at 10 a.m. at the City Council Chambers. That's on 107 West Wan Lin Street. The election is set for May 4th. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10, a building explosion in the nation's capital is under investigation. Also ahead, a national nonprofit in Kansas is helping unhoused pets and people in the nation's bitter cold. One person has been hurt after a building explosion this morning in Washington, D.C. It happened in southeast D.C. as crews responded to a report of a gas leak around 10 a.m. Authorities say 16 children in a daycare center next door were evacuated in time and are safe. One building was leveled and 2 others damaged in the blast. The person hurt in the explosion only suffered non-life-threatening injuries. The incident remains under investigation. Workplace stress can be mentally taxing and also physically taxing, especially for some people's hearts.
We've heard about burnout at work and impacts of work stress on mental health, but what about impact on heart health? Researchers in Canada found that men working white-collar jobs had an increased risk of heart disease from work-related stress. Stress was related to job strain and workers' feelings that they were not rewarded enough for the amount of effort they put in. The study, however, did not find any association with increased risk of heart disease in women. It also did not address people in manual labor jobs jobs, just office workers. If you work an office job and find yourself regularly stressed out at work, try to find ways to take the load off outside of the office, like meditation or yoga. Talk to your doctor if you're experiencing symptoms like chest pain, fatigue, or shortness of breath. With this Medical Minute, I'm Em Nguyen, ABC News.
A short-term spending bill that would avert a partial government shutdown has been sent to President Biden's desk. The House approved the measure by a vote of 314 to 108, with opposition coming mostly from the more conservative Republicans. A few hours later, the Senate voted overwhelmingly to pass the bill by a vote of 77 to 18. The bill extends current spending levels and buys time for the two chambers to work out their differences over full-year spending bills. Winter weather is still slamming the country. Over 70 million Americans across the U.S. are on alert for snow and ice. Right now, a snowstorm is moving from the plains into the Midwest. This brutal stretch of winter has claimed more than 37 lives.
Winter's whiplash putting more than 80 million Americans on alert. 30 states weathering snow and ice from coast to coast. Dangerous conditions this week taking lives. In Tennessee, at least 14 confirmed dead. In Oregon, at least 3 people dying from hypothermia. Powerful wind gusts downing trees, causing power outages, streets caked with ice. Watch as this pickup truck slips and slides, hitting a mailbox.
You guys okay? Yeah. I'm glad you're safe. We had 3 accidents right here.
In Detroit, Michigan, where temperatures are below freezing, this disabled woman says her apartment complex has been without heat for a week. She says her landlord is trying to fix it today.
Doing the best you can, and we freezing up in here is not doing anybody no favors.
Several mountains in Colorado under avalanche warnings. This latest snowstorm sweeping the plains and the Midwest, arriving to the Ohio Valley and the Mid-Atlantic on Friday. The Northeast bracing for a second round of winter weather this week. New York City could see up to 3 inches of snow.
And cold temperatures return to the deep south on Friday, and here along the west coast in the forecast is rain through the weekend. Tim Pulliam, ABC News, Los Angeles.
One group in Kansas is working overtime to help both homeless dogs and people through this stretch of cold weather. The Street Dog Coalition is a national nonprofit that helps people without homes care for their pets. Dogs are not allowed to stay at any warming shelters, so the coalition is currently boarding dogs for roughly 13 unsheltered people. They're leaning on various animal clinics for open kennels and will continue doing so until it's warm enough to return the dogs to their owners.
Our whole goal is empowerment. We want to empower people. We want to help them find a voice. We want to help them find a purpose in life and to move forward in life and stability above all.
The coalition's motto is taking care of both ends of the leash, connecting with homeless people in the area through their pets. Baldwin says the coalition is looking for your help right now. He reminds people you're not just helping a dog, you're helping a dog and a person.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's 51 degrees. It was almost spring-like today, up to 71. Hope you enjoyed it. It's not going to be that pretty for the next 7 days. In fact, it's going to get a little complicated because we've got a lot of rain moving into our area. We'll be talking about that tonight. We did get up to 73 after a morning low of 41. Well, that's a whole lot better than 21, would you say? We'll be talking about what's happening for the next 7 days coming up right after this. What a difference the breeze makes. You know, a couple days ago, we had a north wind bringing that cold Arctic air down into our area. Well, as of yesterday, we started picking up the south wind. That's the good old south Gulf wind that moderated our temperature very nicely today. As we take a look at the big picture, you can see that we've got a tap of moisture all the way down into the Pacific. That is going to be very interesting for the next week because it's really going to change not only our weather, but pretty much the national weather. You saw that winter weather storms. Well, let me put it this way. There's going to be a big thaw coming out next week, and just take my word for it. All right, let's see what's happening locally. We're looking at all of our temperatures into the 40s and 50s, 49 in Hallettsville. We're looking at 56 down in Rockport, and of course we're at 51. Our breeze is up out of the south, and of course that is very helpful, and that's what gave us the moderate weather for today. In addition to that, the frontal system tomorrow will actually give us a little bit of a chill. So tomorrow morning, 42, north wind comes in. Saturday morning, the low is 28, but it's only going to be for a couple of hours, and it's not going to stick around for long. And then once the sun comes up, it's going to moderate very nicely. Sunday, we're down to 38, but get a load of this, 52, 58. All of a sudden, we're almost tropical. What's happening? Well, a big pattern change is happening all over North America because the winds had been from west to east for most of the early part of the winter. Then we had this big dip where the Arctic air dropped south, and now we're getting a big blast of westerlies across the country, which is going to be bringing storms from the west, and that's going to moderate all this cold air that we've seen. So there's our front. It comes in early in the morning. Northerly winds give us a sunny day, a little cooler tomorrow, but not bad. As we get to Saturday, then we start seeing the transition. The transition as high pressure goes that way, and then the big storm on the west coast starts digging down. Now, this is a big storm. In other words, it's not a little bitty pocket of weather. This one is dipping down like this. I'll show it to you in a minute. And then that frontal system will start getting close to our area. But there you see the rain activity over our area Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So it's going to be very interesting. Here's the one I was showing you. These are the upper winds. This is the polar jet. This is the subtropical jet. And notice, over Friday, not bad. Saturday, not bad at all. But by the time we get to the weekend, you're going to see a big dip down there on the west coast. Well, that's dipping down, and this is a classic El Nino thing, absolutely. And then it's going to pull all that tropical moisture northbound. There you see the rain over Texas. That's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Finally, until Thursday afternoon, we're going to be in almost a continuous belt of rainfall. Now, it's interesting. You get that much rain in 5 days, we have flooding problems that we may have to deal with. So tonight, 47 will be the low in Port Lavaca, up to only 54 tomorrow with that north wind. 43 the morning low in Cuero, getting up to 51 in the afternoon. And here's what we're talking about. Windy and colder tomorrow with a 52. Nice on Saturday. Then Sunday, the rain begins. And then all of a sudden, I have to put 1, 2, 3, 4 storm clouds up there. Let's just say if you've got outdoor activities next week, you got to watch the weather. As for 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Zach Brown with your sports.
The St. Joe girls are entering the hardest part of their schedule, and they're ready for the test. I'll have that in sports. St. Joseph ladies have smashed all expectations this year, having the best year they've had in a while. I caught up with the Lady Flyers at practice on what has changed over at the Dome. Second-year head coach MJ Johnson has his girls flying high with a 20-6 record, a huge improvement from a team that just a few years back only had one win on the year. Now they get ready for a tough next 3 games against all ranked opponents.
We're definitely excited. I think that's an understatement almost, though. I think these 3 games will be able to show what we've really been putting in, all the work and time and effort that all these girls have put forward.
The girls have been playing a lot more discipline this year and playing as one unit. The credit to the coaching that drills into them how to execute to perfection each time out on the court, and it was made easier because they desire to be better.
He's like really big on getting us to get a lot of reps in and work on plays a lot, make sure we like have it down, but also at the same time keeping us conditioned so we're staying in shape so we can make it through the game.
One of the biggest points that I noticed when I got the job was that they worked hard all the time. So I didn't have to really push work ethic. It's just teaching them how to play the game, because they desired to play the game well and they had all of the talent. They just didn't know what to do with it all.
Because of the confidence instilled into them from their coaching, the girls now feel like they can go toe-to-toe with any of these next 3 teams on their schedule.
I've told the girls that we're capable of beating everyone in our district, and with the #1 team in state in our district, they kind of didn't really believe it too much to start the year. They definitely didn't believe it as much last year.
He never makes us feel like we can't do something. We know we can, and he just pushes us to know that we're capable of doing everything he believes we're capable of doing.
As I mentioned, their next 3 games all against ranked opponents, but the girls not getting that respect just yet. Ranked towards the middle of the pack, a huge game here at the Dome this Saturday at 10 a.m. The girls hoping to pack that house and get that home court advantage at the Flyer Dome. More basketball. The East girls got the win last night, 52-36. Nevaeh Sanchez led the way with 13 points. Sanaya Randall also had double digits with 10. They only allowed 14 points in the second half, still undefeated in district play at 4-0. Now from the hardwood to the soccer pitch, the Victoria West ladies victorious. They just do squeeze by Flower Bluff 2-1. Both goals were scored by Mia Ramirez. Kennedy Blow and Abby Adcock each had an assist, and Sienna sitting down Ramirez had the goalkeeping duties. They are now 7-4 overall. They get Corpus Christi Vets on Tuesday. The Texas Longhorns fell to UCF basketball, and let's just say the events that transpired afterwards didn't make the Burnt Orange too happy. That is Texas head coach Terry Rodney, who is furious after UCF all held the horns down sign after their big win over Texas, coming back from a 16-point deficit. Rodney called them classless and told every last person in that line not to do it again, and I have a feeling that it's going to inspire more people to probably continue to do it. And some rather big news in the Texans-Ravens game. All-pro cornerback Marlon Humphrey has been ruled out for the Ravens. That game is right here on KAVU this Saturday at 3:30. And speaking of the Texans, former head coach Bill O'Brien, who then coached Bailey Zappi over at New England, is now going to Ohio State to be an offensive coordinator. That news confirmed by ESPN. So we'll see what he does at Ohio State. He's had a lot of college jobs lately, so I don't know if an NFL job is in his future, but if you're a Texans fan, it's probably, it's probably for the better, right, Don?
Well, look at it this way. In his career, Bill O'Brien has coached Tom Brady and Bailey Zappi. There, I said it. Tom Brady and Bailey Zappi in the same sentence.
Well, now we get to go to C.J. Stroud's alma mater. I mean, they just finally had their great quarterback. They've always been kind of doubted in the quarterback realm of things. C.J. Stroud kind of bucked that trend. We'll see if Bill O'Brien can continue to. He's always had a great offensive mind. Maybe he can continue success on the coordinator ranks, but not as a head coach just yet.
By the way, folks, when Zach was in college, he would never do that horns down thing. He went to OU.
Yeah.
Zach, thank you, and stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. We'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, Apple leads the world as the top seller of smartphones. 5 News Now anchor Karina Garcia for the 2024 Crossroads Heart and Stroke Walk. The event takes place Saturday, February 3rd at 8 a.m. The walk will start at 8:15 at Riverside Park, located on 311 Memorial Drive. You can find more information about the walk on our website, crossroadstoday.com. Apple has become the top seller of smartphones in the world. iPhone sales have now topped Samsung, ending that company's 12-year run at the top of the list. According to a report from International Data Corp, Apple commanded a 20% market share in 2023, while Samsung checked in at 19.4%. The change comes after a tough year that saw consumers hesitant to upgrade their smartphones and choosing cheaper handsets due to high inflation and economic uncertainties. An Indiana dog is drying off after an icy near-death experience. The owners of Ollie say the pup went out for a stroll this morning when he saw a goose. Ollie gave chase and went a little too far and fell into the St. Joseph River. The South Bend Fire Department took these pictures of the rescue. Ollie is back at home safe and warm, but his family says he's still upset he couldn't catch that goose. But if he tried to, his goose could have been cooked there. I'm telling you what. That's a very, very dangerous thing.
It amazes me that the first responders jump in the frozen water.
Well, that's part of their job. There's something else.
I guess they're acclimated to that, because I don't think I'd come out or I'd be stuck there. Anyway, folks, not a bad looking day tomorrow, but it's going to be a little windy and a little cooler, and that's your Friday. Saturday is okay, but will be also on the cool side. But we got to get ready for what I consider to be a big rainstorm. It begins on Sunday night. It'll roll through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week.
Thank you, Mac. And finally tonight, for many people, Friday is movie night, which is convenient because this year it's also National Popcorn Day. NationalDayCalendar.com has this interesting fact. The Aztecs used popcorn in headdresses during religious ceremonies. The site fascinated early Spanish explorers. To them, popcorn looked like white flowers. In the U.S., popcorn gained popularity in the mid-1800s. Later on, candy store owner Charles Cretors invented a machine for popping corn with steam, but he did not invent the microwave oven. That was somebody else.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, that video looks familiar.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, and thanks for joining us for 25 News Now at 10. Join Carolina Astorine and meteorologist Parker Cox. 25 News Now, sunrise starting at 5 a.m. Good night, everybody.